In today's scripture reading, we have the baptism of Jesus, followed by a long genealogy. I'll repeat that I'm not expecting our poor scripture reader to read it all out loud, but I do want you to see it. It's long, 77 generations long. It's almost twice as long as the genealogy in Matthew. But before you hear it, let's explain a bit more about these genealogies. For the Gospel writers Matthew and Luke, it was important to them to show this genealogy for a number of reasons. First, it's a common thing in Scripture to see generational lists like this. It happens especially a lot in the book of Genesis. It gives a certain weight and importance to their narratives, maintaining that flavor of Scripture. Second, it's about retelling the history of the people and rooting Jesus in this long history of the Jewish people. They're also doing this to demonstrate that Jesus is the Messiah, who is promised to come from the line of David. So they are proving his pedigree, so to speak. It might not be fun to read, but for these reasons, it's important to be there. Matthew and Luke, however, don't agree on their genealogies, and that's been a source of some contention among scholars. Two lists should be the same, but they're not. Here's what Matthew's list looks like, and here's what Luke's list looks like. Some have explained this difference as being the difference between following Mary's line or Joseph's line. Some explain it as connected to the tradition of Levirate marriages. Don't ask me to explain that myself. One notable feature is that Matthew divides his list in sections of 14 generations. 7 is the number of perfection, so 14 is double perfection. Luke's list is 77 generations. And how often does Jesus say that we should forgive one another? 77 times. So these numbers themselves held importance to Matthew and Luke, which suggests that the details of the list, the accuracy of the list, wasn't as important to them as the theological message of that list. Matthew and Luke want to tell you about Jesus. They want to make a statement of who Jesus is. Jesus is a descendant of the Jewish people, a descendant of King David, a descendant of Abraham, a descendant of Adam. Yeah, he came from heaven, but yes, he also comes from that same line of humanity that you and I come from. He is one of us, which is why he is also our hope. He comes from this lineage to be its redeemer. He comes from us to redeem them and save us. He is the fulfillment of who we are created and meant to be, the embodiment of grace, the embodiment of mercy, the embodiment of God. As proof of this, this is his father. This is his father's father. This is his father's father's father. This is his father's 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 father. And on and on. Luke's list, especially, goes on and on and on. Enjoy that.